Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Druid Nicholas Klan, founder of the Druid Circle, founder of the Druid Order of Blessed Stone and Wood, BLEST, and also Druid University, all to come in the next several years. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're all doing well. Whatever time it is, I hope you keep it great. Um, I guess I want to start by talking to you a little bit about, you know, a sort of a philosophical debate, if you will, over religion and over spirituality. Um, the I want to say some primary thoughts, and then you guys could go ahead and do what you want with this. Okay. Number one, I want to say that religion, and I hear a lot of people talk about this. I'm religious, but I'm not. I'm religious. I'm religious, but I'm not spiritual, or I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. And I'm saying, well, we need to understand the value of both, and we also need to understand their detriments. You see, religion itself is translated, meaning from the chains or in chains or bound in chains, right? And for many, religion is a way of life. It's a way of how people go on in their daily living. It's a way on how people connect with the God or gods of their understanding. It's the way people incorporate the unseen with the seen. It's a way that people can adjust and grab on to something higher than them, right? A lot of other people say, well, they're spiritual, right? They're spiritual. And what that just simply means is they're spiritual. And they don't want to have any sort of dogma. They don't want to have any sort of organized belief system. They don't want things laid out for them. They want to experience that same community, if you will, or communion, that holy communion with the unseen in their own way, right? And that's one of, I think, the general synopsis of spiritual versus religious. I think, because I can't really interpret it for you, but I think that we could all agree that that's basically, I think, the idea. Are Druids spiritual? Are Druids religious? Okay. So there is there is some sort of belief that the uh, reasonable, beyond reasonable doubt, that Druids did do things methodically. Um, they would have done things methodically. That there was a way to do something, right? But remember that Druids had to understand the tribes that they were working with in order to connect with them. Druids again were sort of similar to shamans. They were advisors, they were lawyers, they were doctors, they were judges, um, philosophers, and teachers. And so as a result of that, they were very academic, right? And and those in academia need to have some sort of a discipline. So I think in that regard, they could have been religious, if you will, because a religion is something that is a constant. So they would have, had some sort of a religious belief, if you will. But at the same time, they had to move out of that when they needed to go into interpreting the tribes around them. And I say this because it's something that is. You can't just simply be a druid and not be able to interpret things beyond you. Part of being a druid means that you are a priest. You are the person that people come to ask for help. You are the person that people come to ask for advice. You are the person that people come to and say, would you pray for my blank? Would you pray for this situation? You are the person people come to and say, can you help me connect to the God or gods of my understanding? And with all of that, I think that it's really important to understand that we think about this in a beyond spiritual or religious way of thinking. I believe the Druids were not, and we have, and there's enough evidence of this, but Druids were not just simply spiritual. Spiritual was only one way, one method, one version of the four. That tetrachonomy existed well beyond simply spiritual, and I gave an entire talk on that. Not here on YouTube, but I did on our Facebook page, which I'm going to be uploading all the videos back and redoing them and refurbishing them up on here. So I want to talk to you guys about this because I think it's really important to realize the differences in all of the things that involved the Druids. Spiritual was one, but also, you know, the anima or the soul was the other. And so they also had to see themselves for who they were themselves, their deeper self. Some would say their higher self. You know, they also understood the importance of the heart, the importance of determination, the importance of, if you will, the importance of working towards something to achieve something. That idea of capitalism, not where everybody just, gets everything equally, and some get less and some get more depending on their needs. Everybody gets the same. And so my point is that the Druids would really believe that there was more to than just spiritual or religious. They also had to be heartfelt. They had to talk about the heart. They had to talk about the determination, the will, the human will, the will to survive. How much heart did you have to move forward? How much heart did you have to move onward? They had to talk about, they had to believe that there was, the mind involved in all this play as well. That one's mentality was also important. What was one thinking? What were one's thoughts? What were one's thoughts, I should say. And in all of this, if we continue to understand and respect that it's more than just spiritual or religious, I think we then begin to see that on the spiritual side, there's more of an extended family of four, that Druidic tetrachonomy of heart and soul and mind and spirit, and on the other end, religion. Many of us keep grammar books. And our grammar books, sometimes called grimoires, our grammar books help us put into motion things we deeply believe in to be true. What do you believe in to be true? What does What does it mean for you to be a Druid? How do you connect with the ancients? How do you connect with God or God of your understanding, God or gods of your understanding? How do you connect with the metaphysicals, the fae, and the angels, or whatever? How do you connect with your ancestors, not just your recently departed? A lot of people think that when they hear ancestors, they think just recently departed. When I hear ancestors, I think who lived in the time of the Druids, and how am I related to that? Now, many would argue that there is no physical relation with the Druids, that it's a thought, similar to Catholicism or Christianity. Anybody could be Christian, anybody could be Catholic, so then anybody could be Druidic. And you know, when we practice Druidism, we then think about what? We think about those things that brought these people to life. So, in thinking about whether or not one is spiritual religious might not be necessarily the question. I think a lot of us do have our own religion, if you will. But if we allow the religion itself, okay, to be one single thought, it isn't the question anymore of religion, it's the question of indoctrination. And I want to bring to mind, the idea of Yeshua or Shua, whether or not you believe that Shua existed or whether or not you don't believe it, isn't necessarily the question. But I do believe that, at least in the writings, that he talked about this idea of not, letting go of the old and in with the new. That he talked about more, that he talked about the idea of, can we as a people keep the old and learn the new, incorporate it? And I think just then, very there, he wasn't speaking of conversion. Right there in itself is more of a transversion, more of a saying, no, you can keep Judaism, just add to it what I am also teaching you. And I think that those people, you don't join Druidism. It's not a cult. So now, obviously, there are some cults out there like ADF and OBOD and those groups, Tree Path and Unified Order of Druids, New Order of Druids, and RDNA and all these others. They're cults in a way. But what makes something not a cult? You see, if you want to really think about what it means to be part of something, then you don't look at the person and say, hey, I like this person. You say, hey, I like what this person is talking about. They seem to have many things that I would agree in common with. And that is my take on the difference between spirituality and religion, and that I don't think that it is an either or, and that I think that it is more than that. A lot of people say stay away from religion, go more into spirituality, because religions have caused wars, religions have done this, religions have done that. I say wrong. Governments have done that. Religion is the weapon. Religion is the money. You can't blame money on being the root of all evil. You can do a lot of good with it. You can't blame the gun for the root of all evil because you can protect yourself with it. You can't blame religion for being, too restrictive because there are great things done in the name of it. My point is that you don't have to be either or. You can be both. Why not be both? And while that might seem incredibly wishy-washy, if you will, it's actually pretty sensible. It's expansive. Believe what you believe to be true and hold to those values. But don't allow yourself to, be so one way or so the other way or any extreme. And I think that is the difference between whether or not Druids should or could be either spiritual or religious. My name is Druid Nicholas Declan, founder of Druid Circle, founder of the Druid Order of Blessed Stone and Wood, BLEST, founder of Druid University, and I hope that you guys, whatever time of day, you keep it great. And if it isn't great, make it great again. You're awesome. Be you, and have the strength, the strength, the vision, the courage, and the wisdom to make everything you do a success. Be it thus, but shegoraranit est lemogvis. Girawan.